Hello. So, I don't do many videos like this often, if you've not put it together. And the main reason being, well, my video camera isn't the best, if you couldn't put that together. And the second reason being, well, a lot of the subjects that I follow, like DBFZ and Valorant, I don't consider myself an authority in talking about them. So, for example, you'll see the likes of Tens, Skillcap, Shroud. You'll see them talking about how you certainly will get better as a player. I can't say that for sure because at the end of the day, I'm not a fantastic player. I'm a diamond in Valorant, so that's like pretty mid. I'm not comparing myself to Tens in terms of authority on said games, but I'd argue I have as many hours as him in Overwatch 1 as he does in Valorant and Aim Labs. And so I'd like to imagine that gives me a level of experience, so to say, like especially with what I'm talking about. So I made a poll asking what people thought, and honestly, it's kind of surprising to say the least. Yeah, if you can see here, as of recording this, this has been asked in the Overwatch community, so this isn't just me asking random people what they think of Overwatch, because that was what originally the third option was, just in case. What's most interesting is to look at this. A lot of the community don't even view it as a sequel. They see it as a big-ass update, simply for the reason of there's not enough content for it to be considered a sequel. Whereas, again, half of the community are seeing this as a solid sequel and a solid step in the right direction moving forward with Overwatch as not only a competitive game, but as a casual game. And from if you can see the results I'm seeing, you can see why this is kind of controversial to begin with. So instead of talking about Overwatch 2, let's start by talking about what makes a good sequel. For pretty much everyone, they're just going to interpret it as, oh, this is the second installment in the series, or oh, it's just the next thing along in the franchise. So let's talk about game sequels. A solid one to start with is Team Fortress Classic and Team Fortress 2, since, well, I don't care what you say, they're fundamentally similar to Overwatch in terms of hero shooter, fulfilling roles, and different character health. And there is such a generational leap between Game A and Game B. And we're not just talking about aesthetics, but even something as simple as a class. For those who don't know, I might be wrong on this, feel free to fact check this, but Spy originated from a bug or a glitch with Team Fortress Classic, where you could basically pretend to look like an enemy teammate. And that's where the entire character of Spy comes from. You can see where they've done so much work to begin with. If you ask for my input on Team Fortress 2, and in terms of a sequel, it is a perfect sequel. So if you've not gotten to my point I'm trying to make, it's, well, quite simply, is Overwatch a good sequel to a game or a big-ass Overwatch update? Because this is quite a talking point. So let's start with the big things in your face, such as the 3 new characters, yada yada. I'm not going to talk about them as characters because... And the new maps, character tweaks from 1 to 2, such as Doomfist being moved over to a tank, Orisa being given a spear, Soldier being given a fucking beard, whatever. I'm happy with how they treated high ceiling characters. I can also see how people are also going to like it coming from Overwatch 1. It's different from how they imagine playing it. So for example, imagine you're playing Call of Duty. You've gone from pretty much being a quick scoper like all the time to a patch note which pretty much just nukes ADS time, aim down sights time, which leads your method of playing completely outdated. Going from a 6v6 to a 5v5 is a topic for another time, mainly relating to like how fast paced do you want your matches being, quite simply. Some people like battle royales for the simple fact that they're super fast paced. They can hop in a game, kill people, die, rinse and repeat, and it's nice, simple. Some people don't like that. Some people like the Valorant style of gameplay where it's a lot more slow and methodical, whereas there's not really much of that in Overwatch 2. And the resulting problem is, well, at least in my opinion, how fast-paced those matches are. I prefer faster, simply for the reason of I can keep up with faster-paced stuff. It's why I like Titanfall 2. So let's move on to things that aren't going to be picked up by your average new player to Overwatch 2. So the main thing we could start off with is the fact that heroes are locked for new players, which I don't like that, but that's... Some argue it's in favour of progression, some argue it's pretty much harming consumers. Why would I even care about that? And it's mainly because it factors into another thing, SMS verification. And if you don't already know, you can't play Overwatch 2 without the verification. And a key thing to remember is that you can't use prepaid phones, meaning some people are flat out locked out of the game. Yeah, meaning some people are flat out locked out of the game for something as simple as their parents chose their phone provider because they've got the same one. And not only am I against this for the obvious reason of, well, so some people paid for a game they can't refund because it went free to play, and now they can't even play the game because of their phone. No, the main reason I'm against it is because why they've implemented this, and it's specifically to combat cheating, smurfing, and disruptive behavior. Those were the three specific. Now, anybody that's been playing any competitive game for a long amount of time more than likely has encountered the kind of player that has been banned off their main for whatever reason, whether it be for good reason or stupid reasons, and they've just had to get a new account. And even these account reseller services, they're going to be the main people making money off of this fact, simply for the reason of, well, say somebody gets banned for saying, "Oh my god, you're such a cunt, man, stop being racist," you know, something as simple as that. It can still get you banned. That's how I lost my... that's how I got a week ban off Valorant. Some would argue, yeah, you deserve that, you're being rude. Some would say, well, how come the game isn't dealing with cheaters? But again, this is what I'm segueing to. And that's, if it's intrusive, is it effective? And if it's not effective, why is it there? Best example, Valorant Vanguard. I can't speak on behalf of everybody's experience, but my own. I've never had the red cheater detected screen interrupt me in the middle of a game. And if we go to Overwatch, it's too soon to say whether if it's working against cheaters specifically or not, but the general outlook is people that are cheating are more than likely going to be using a bot or false account. Anybody who's cheating should be smart enough to not use it on their main account. It's because of how effective it is. A lot of the Valorant community are just going, well, if it's effective, I guess I don't mind. And I'm honestly in that bracket. It's working its job. It's keeping me from playing with the likes of CSGO anti-prime cheaters. And if you know, you know. You know the spin botters from CSGO Prime. And that's one of the things. Well, what's stopping them from just buying accounts and then just cheating on that? We don't know. Because it's not... We've not seen any mainstream cheat hit up the... well... or at least plague the games yet. The main one I knew of back from Overwatch 1 was one that acted as an overlay, DLL injection, I think it worked through. And the way it basically operated was that it picked up, if you had to set your color the enemy color scheme to purple, I think it's the Deuteronope. I'm not gonna try and pronounce it, but. And the way it would work would it essentially try and look for that like congealed mass of color, put it into a square, and then basically like a ratio. So it works on going on the first tenth of the from the top down. So that's where it'll try and aim. Is this still in effect? We'll have to find out. But again. So, do I think it's going to stop cheating? Absolutely not, because anybody who's smart enough is probably going to hopefully hop on a Smurf account, which segues into the next point. Do I think it's going to stop smurfing? Again, this one's a bit more difficult to tell, because at the end of the day, we don't fully know how account retail services are going to essentially abuse these systems. Do they have 100 plus motherfuckers with a phone ready to just spam invite codes, authentication codes? Maybe, who knows? I don't work there. Is this going to stop disruptive behavior? I'd say this has probably got the strongest chance out of the three, simply for the reason of, well, imagine a kid signing up for Overwatch 2. It's not like he can just be like, "Oh my god, you should kill yourself now!" And the parents are just going to get a log of it, which would be kind of funny, at least in my opinion, or at least that's how I'm hoping it'd work. I legally have to mention that a UI and HUD designer needs a firm kick up the ass, man. Because look at this shit. I know everyone's gonna have their own input on how it looks on how it looks, with some appreciating the minimalist design and some like just preferring the iconic HUD that was the original. If you compare the UI between the core themes of the game and the core themes of the UI, you see it go from Overwatch 1, perfectly matching, iconic and lovely, to Overwatch 2, where it's minimalistic and to some, with the lighting just below here, with the ultimates and some abilities, being a bit jarring to get hit with. It doesn't, like, the UI doesn't follow the general theme of the aesthetics, with, at least to me, it feeling similar to Big Hero 6 in the likes of cartoony, outlandish, goofy, but still grounded, diverse, and not just stuck in one location. And that to me is everything that Overwatch is. It's a diverse game with rich locations and great characters. But what I have to ask to those who are those are in favor of the minimalist look, why are you playing Overwatch for the minimalist look? So yeah, you don't see the likes of the three bread and butter characters, Reinhardt, Soldier 76, and Mercy. You don't see it just being woman with staff, man with gun, and man with shield. No, they all have their own unique designs. Reinhardt is a massive towering being, and you can see this in his character design, and you can see this from the various skins. Even his default skin, it's a lot. You can tell there's a lot more honor and pride in his heart. And if there was a minimalistic approach, it'd quite literally just be a dude with a shield and a hammer, and that would literally be it. It'd be no different than Soldier 76 holding a hammer and shield, and that's the problem. For their UI and HUD designers to come up with that between 6 years... Sorry, I won't say 6 years, because they probably weren't planning Overwatch 2 from launch of Overwatch 1. But let's say, round it up to an even 4 to 5 years. 4 to 5 years, and that's what you're doing. My brother in Christ, you need firing. I don't care. I can do your job better. Hire me. Don't hire me. I don't want to work for a bunch of fucking sexist cunts. It's almost as though someone told the UI designer to just simply change it for the sake of changing it, because they need to look like they've actually been working on something instead of partying in the Cosby suite. Anyway, personal opinions aside, do I like it? Absolutely not. I've not seen a downgrade this hard since my friend upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 11 by mistake. Also, some little fun tidbits. So, if you don't know, in Discord, for the most part, it comes up as Overwatch 1. Well, just Overwatch, but not Overwatch 2 is the key point. In the Files Explorer, it's down as Overwatch, not Overwatch 2. And if we go into the version control, guess what it comes up with? Not Overwatch 2. Overwatch version 2.1.0.1. And yeah, you don't see Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, that one, being down as Call of Duty version 19.12.1.6.9. I genuinely believe that this decision for Overwatch 2 came from the decision of wanting to shift a lot of the negative press at the time, such as the Hearthstone controversy, where, if you don't know, a Taiwanese player, I might be wrong on this, don't be offended, man, I'm just tired. They won it and they got asked for their words, and they basically just went free Taiwan, free Taiwan, free Taiwan, and they got essentially kicked off and apologized for, which, that ain't it, man. And why did they do it? Simply because they allowed their game to be aired in that fucking part of the country, which it becomes a moral towards ethic dilemma of, do you want more people to play the game and more people making you money, or do you want to be as true to yourself as you can? And that's not what I'm here today for. Anyone who remembers the Sombra ARGs remembers what I mean when knows what I mean when I'm talking towards poorly handled, because at least to me, there were a lot of signs of poorly handling the game very early on, mainly being the ARGs, and if anyone who remembers these dragged out far too long, specifically the Sombra one. And Blizzard essentially released her at a point where people were getting really tired with the ARGs and just dropped her, and that's when we had the first server maintenance issues, kind of like the ones we're getting now, when a bunch of people tried to log in because they were that hyped. Gee golly, it's almost as though they're not getting DDoSed. I shouldn't say that. That's just me cracking a joke. Just don't. But if you ask parts of the community during that time, they'll say that the ARGs were really cool, and that they really tried to push Overwatch towards a mainstream culture, kind of like Fortnite did with Drake. This free-to-play move should have came in 2018 when the game was like dying as a franchise. Yeah, so I can hear what you're all doing. What are you getting at, you big four-headed fuck? I'm getting to that, you impatient little prick. And the main thing that I'm just trying to get to is think Yandere dev. Okay, don't fucking click off the video. But seriously, think Yandere developer has been working on this game for the last 8 years. Yes, 8 years. And do you remember people slating him for the basically no additions between versions? Of course not, because hopefully, like, my viewers are the kind of people that aren't playing Yandere Sim. But so for people to just view Overwatch 2 as this mid-game and to leave it at that feels insulting, considering these are more than likely the same people slating Yandere dev, taking his time for like fuck all reason, even though that's actually a fresh game from scratch. And I can give him some credit for being a solo developer. As for his practices and how he treats other people and the level of his coding skills, I'm not speaking about Yandere dev. I'm just talking about a quick comparison point between the times of their development games. And but personally, I think the reason why they went for this route of essentially giving a big update to Overwatch is simply because they had a lot of negative press at the time, if you were to ask me. And the best way to get all of that off them was by announcing new games and new sequels. Even if the sequel to one of these games was essentially no changes. And honestly, it took me like 5 minutes to download Overwatch 2. I had Overwatch 1 downloaded. And I think that's a problem. That really speaks to me. That really speaks problems to me. And what do I hope you take away from this? I don't know, man. I think the fact that I as a player got nothing out of owning Overwatch 1, buying it at its peak, borderline scam. Like, I can't even refund the fucking game. I can't even refund and go, okay, I'll go into Overwatch 2 and put in and get the watch point pack. No, I can't even do that. And honestly, it's just depressing. I'm just hoping that they try to change this up over the time, because yeah, the rate things are going, I can confidently say that I would not give this game 6 months of being like this active, like launch day, because it's just not feasible. Anybody who's actually come from playing Overwatch is going to feel borderline offended that this was all they got, especially for supporting the game for so long. Like if I'm not mistaken, levels completely gone. The only thing there's to show of your previous gameplay is like skins and some golden guns, which I don't know how to feel about. So either way, just take it easy and let me know what you think in the comments, because I'll actively be reading through them. Take it easy. It'd be nice to hear it off you. If you like the video, I guess add a like.